Afternoon and welcome to our last meeting of the month. And I'll call us to order. We have an invocation tonight be given by Councilman Thompson and respect to the flag to be led by Mayor Pro Tem Rick Locke. Please rise.
And pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you that you've given us the privilege to assemble in these chambers once more. Thank you, dear God, for blessing us through the pandemic era that we all have suffered from. As we deliberate the business of our city tonight, please give us the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to do those things and make those decisions that be pleasing in your sight. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes of our April 26th meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I make a motion to approve minutes, Mayor.
Have first by Mr. Harmon,
Second.
second by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes of April 26th pass unanimously. We have a couple items of old business, and the first item is request consideration of an ordinance to rezone 312 Sayre Street from LI, which is light industrial, to GC general commercial. Mr. McEwen.
Both items, A1, A2, come back to you from the Planning Commission, and Maurice McKenzie, our planning development director, go over the details with you. A1 being on the first reading of the ordinance. Mr. McKenzie.
Okay, thank you. This property, 312 Sayre Street, a lot of you know it as a former McLeod's Garage. The applicant, over the past few years, made several improvements to that property from an aesthetic standpoint, also some structural improvements, there's a roof, lots of things out there. Currently, their business being operated in there is a vehicle customizing restoration business, along with a muffler repair shop in there now. But their next step of their business plan is to sell automobiles. And this property is currently zoned LI light industrial, but in all actuality, in our zoning, auto sales are not allowed in LI light industrial. You have to actually downzone it to GC general commercial in order to have that element. So that's what they're requesting, is to zone it to GC general commercial so they can operate auto sales. And what they're currently doing in the building now with the muffler shop and restoration business, that would be permitted under the GC guidelines. This is a downzoning. We typically don't see many downzonings. It's usually going the other way. So we see this as a good thing because it does eliminate the ability to, for the building to be used for more intensive industrial type uses. I know that I believe at the last meeting we talked briefly about towing. Towing is not allowed in LI, but it is HI, heavy industrial. So this will be 2 steps less than that. So that further decreases the chances for that to ever be used for towing, which the applicant says that's not part of their business plans. So again, staff recommends approval of this rezoning from LI to GC. The applicants are also in attendance if you have any specific questions for them.
Thank you, sir. Comments, questions?
Mayor, seems like I go down Sayre Street a lot. I have some of my acquaintances down in that area, businesses, and I'd sort of like to piggyback on what Mr. McKenzie said. I mean, I think there's continual improvement to that property. Cosmetically, looking at it, going by, and I don't see why selling cars is going to hurt that area. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
It's not second. Go ahead.
I have a first by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. John Roberts. Any questions, discussion?
I believe that's
One
it.
question. That's in your area.
In my area.
Dr. Thompson and...
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Dr. Thompson.
And we just mentioned the look for the building now. It doesn't look that good. And I hope that in this rezoning that he's going to upgrade appearance along with having car sales. And I think that's what he has in mind, hopefully, that he would consider that.
Thank you. Jeff?
Mayor, we have had in other cases where it's an automobile repair shop, and then there's a problem with storage of cars that are in the queue to be repaired and so on. How does that fit into this? Are those repairs, is it going to be a repair shop as well? And then if we start seeing a stockpile of cars to be repaired, how do we handle that?
Yeah, one difference in this particular case is the auto sales portion of it. Any auto repairs, if you will, taking place now, and the applicants can probably help a little bit more, would be the muffler repair and the auto restoration. What you see out there now as far as restoration is concerned or repair, I don't see that number increasing in terms of vehicles. And you don't really see any vehicles in storage right now. According to our zoning guidelines, if you do have cars that are being stored for a period of time that are not necessarily being worked on, you need to have a screen around it to block the view from the public right-of-way.
And that'll be the case here under GC, General Commercial?
Definitely outlined in GC.
Yeah, I'm in favor of rezoning.
Any other questions, comments? Had a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
First reading. I'm sorry, on first reading.
Yes. Our second item is request consideration of an ordinance to annex and zone to a PDD, a planned development district, approximately 323 acres located off of Williamson Road near the intersection of the US 29 bypass. I understand, Mr. McEwen. Right, you're still up, Mr. McKenzie.
Yes, sir, thank you. Again, the applicant requests to annex this property in order to construct a single-family residential subdivision. The mayor mentioned that it is 323 acres. A significant portion of this property is in which cannot be developed. As of now, the applicant is proposing a maximum of 691 single-family houses on this 323 acres. They are requesting a PDD, Plan Development District zoning. We're very familiar with that. We've seen those a lot lately. And the specifications for this development are included in the PDD document that was attached in your package. So that has further detail regarding the specifics of the property. We can go over anything you want to discuss, but in bullet points, I just put a few things that may be of interest. I mentioned the land is not to be developed, but 168 acres of it is not to be developed. Again, it's 323 acres total. And there's at least 10% open space in each of the development pods. There's 4 development pods on this property. They broke it down because of the size of this development. They do propose to have common amenity space, so a house, pool, athletic court. The minimum lot size per their PDD document are 5,000 square feet. And in the document, it does say a minimum of 43 feet wide lots. The applicant did contact us today and requested that be 42 feet rather than 43 feet. So I wanted to make note of that change. The PDD document also says an average of 3 to 4 bedrooms per house is what it looks like it's going to be when it's constructed. They did let us know that there could be a 5-bedroom product based on market conditions. And driveways and garages will allow at least 2 off-street parking spaces. That is something that we've been discussing over the past 2 or 3 PDD documents to make sure that there is adequate parking and not overflowing onto the street. So that is outlined specifically in the PDD document as well. Similar language to what you've seen before. The home construction, I have listed here hardy board, brick, and or stone. That is the case, but I failed to include when I was making the bullet list, and it is outlined in the PDD document, but a few other materials, vinyl, shake, board and batten, or a combination of those materials are proposed. That is outlined in the document. I just failed to put that in the bullet points. Something we've seen consistently over the past couple of PDD documents, we've included 2 trees to be planted per lot, 1 street-type tree, 1 in the backyard. And then, per the guideline that we adopted a couple of months ago, all single-family construction shall have a finished floor elevation, a minimum of 12 inches above the adjacent grade. And again, that's per the new ordinance that was passed this year. Now, Planning Commission, they did consider this request at their May 4th meeting, and they did recommend approval. From a staff perspective, we wanted to bring up a couple of points that we feel like need to be a little more clearly addressed as we consider this for approval. In the PDD document, it does indicate that the maximum efforts will be taken to preserve existing vegetation and trees around the perimeter property line and floodplain areas. We'd like to see a little bit more specific language regarding the preservation of that. Maybe some language stating that clearance shall be limited to areas necessary for and directly related to the construction and improvements, such as the houses, roads, detention. We think careful consideration needs to be taken that those are the only areas that are disturbed, rather than the vast amount of acreage that is to be developed. Also, adding language is clarifying that natural buffers around the perimeter of the development along the existing roads shall be preserved when all feasible. And one other point we'd like to make, to see if we can address this a little further, is that US 29 Williamston Road, it's a major arterial coming into the city. It's one of our gateways into the city. And there's been discussion that Williamston Road could be widened in the future. And with that, perhaps some gateway improvements as well, since it is the main corridor into our city. And with that said, and not really fully understanding what the right-of-way will be, the applicant may be able to shed more light on this, but we just want to make sure that there's additional setbacks and buffers from Williamston Road to make sure that when it is widened, that there is adequate buffer between the road and this development. So we just hope that there is more adequate space between the lots and this major arterial. Right now, it states 40 feet of buffer. We would like to see more than that. And again, this is coming to you for first reading tonight. Once this goes before second reading, it does go before Planning Commission for the subdivision plat consideration and approval. So there's another step after this. The applicant is in attendance tonight, and I'm certain that he can shed more light on some specifics as well regarding this proposal.
Thank you, sir. A lot of information. Questions? Comments?
Question.
Mr. Stewart?
Once it goes back to the planning commission, does it come back to us again?
No, sir, the preliminary plat, and the plat goes to Planning Commission, stays there. It's reviewed by the staff, looking at the various aspects of the layout, just to make sure it meets our subdivision guidelines. So it just goes back to them to make sure everything is in keeping with what the PDD document states. In this particular case, the PDD document outlines the regulations for it, so they need to build the subdivision based on whatever is approved.
So all the additional things that staff would like to see, like the setbacks off of Old Winston Road and the protection of the growth near the floodplain area, all of that's going to be, I guess, hashed out between now and next reading for us.
That's what we're asking you to consider tonight, kind of get y'all's feedback and also our recommendations as far as the 29, particularly provide more space there for it to be wide, and that's very important. And also some of the other aspects that Mr. McKenzie mentioned, so we can have your feedback, so we can incorporate that into the policy document, which is the PDD, and then take that forward for second reading if we find ourselves in agreement with the developer.
But I guess we will have to work closely with DOT to find out what that would be as far as if they ever decide to make that 4-lane road or whatever, how much more additional space between now and the next time.
Ms. Chapman?
Wouldn't there also be, with a development of this size, and it looks like the only access is going to be off the main arterial, the 29, whether or not we would require or request some type of decel lane that gets into the development?
That is something that could be possible. I think there could be multiple entrances to the subdivision based on the different areas, one off of Bolt Drive even, but that is something that, and the applicant can speak more to this, that they will have to have a traffic study with DOT to determine what types of improvements would be needed on this road.
Okay.
Mr. Roberts?
I have several. I'll pick up from Mr. Chapman here. But yes, how many
entrances are there? I understand on lot, or pod 1, it'll have to be a separate entrance naturally, but pods 2, 3, and 4, and you've got that intersection between Business 29 and Bypass 29, and naturally, the entrance ought to be pulled away from that as far as possible.
Correct. And again, with those being state roads, DOT will be reviewing that as well. And we would like to see, those type of access points for ingress and egress, so we don't make the situation more dangerous in that area.
We're talking about 691 units, and yes, acceleration and deceleration lanes, and maybe even left-right egress out of the development. Further, I noticed that the minimum lot size is shown as 5,000 square feet, and my recollection is our most recent PDD, we bumped that up to 6,500 square feet.
Yes, sir.
And that would be my recommendation, to stay with 6,500. Also, the setbacks are a little tight, and we're talking about a 300-something acre development. Surely we can get a little more setback. I would recommend 20 feet on the front, 7.5 on the sides. On a corner lot, 20 both directions. 43 feet minimum lot width, that's from our previous PDD. And then there's something, maybe I understand from Mr. Chapman, but a 33-foot minimum road frontage. Is that a pie-shaped lot, perhaps?
Yes.
Minimum 33 on the front?
By the time you account for your setback, if it's a pie-shaped lot, that would give you the 33 feet.
Right. And go back to the widening of 29. I think that day is coming. Even if they added another lane, that's another 12 feet. So it's shown as 40 feet. I would get it certainly more in the 50-foot range.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I mean, I want to talk with DOT more sensibly about that, I think Mr. Stewart said, get national dimensions that they think would be
Right.
needed on that, and then place that in there.
I'm certainly in favor of annexing and zoning, but I am a conditional yes based on these lot sizes and setbacks.
What I would recommend the council doing, so that we have more time before it floats over to second reading, to work on this with DOT, now that we've gotten your feedback, is actually table this item, and that way we can, bring it back when it's correct and ready based on your feedback, we get the DOT information, and we're able to push it forward from there, and we get into agreement with the developer over these items.
I'd agree, there's a lot of moving parts. And, maybe that would be the best course of action and trying to come back in 2 weeks. Go ahead.
I just offer up, I just don't know what, and table is okay with me, it takes 2/3 for us to table, but, I think the table will vote, but if the developer needs to move it along, I think, you could just pass it on first reading, then we need to table it after the second, when it comes back for the second reading, we could always table it then, but at least it keeps the process moving on.
The bond that puts me in is that I have to put it on the council agenda for the timing of when I put it on the council agenda, so it would automatically roll over on the council agenda. I would have to list that on there even if we weren't prepared or not.
I understand, no problem.
Okay.
I understand.
Ms. Chapman?
I just wanted to clarify, I think this is the second one that's come before us that we started out with a 5,000 square foot minimum lot size, but I thought we, as a council, kind of agreed that 65 was going to be our threshold minimum.
So that's the agreement. We haven't passed new design guideline on that yet. So we have to, get your feedback as part of the process still. Even that's our recommendation to the 6,500.
Okay.
And then move that forward until we can do what we talked about, the comprehensive plan, and change everything as far as the zoning and density guidelines and so forth.
Okay.
Everything down there, guys?
Raise your hand. I totally agree with what they say, though.
Yep.
Because it takes 2/3 to table.
All right. Well, anything else?
Is the developer talking about it?
Yeah.
I know he's here, so.
Developers, you want to talk to us?
Right.
You've been taking notes, so come on up and talk to us. Introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Paul Harrison. Work with Blue Water Civil Design. We're the civil engineers for this development. We're also here tonight on behalf of the applicant. So it's kind of hard trying to hear everything, but I think I heard a lot of it, traffic, and I understand on the traffic. We're currently getting a traffic impact study done. There'll be some recommendations that come out of that traffic impact study that will be a need for deceleration lanes, left turn lanes into the development and those kind of things. But DOT will have full jurisdiction over that, and we'll comply with whatever they say and whatever the traffic impact study says. As far as the lots, and we had a similar type development that came through, seems like a year ago now. We see more and more nowadays, this is the product that our client is building. So they want a smaller lot. They want, smaller footprint, tighten up the development, cluster that development, and then preserve more open space around the community for the use of the entire community, as opposed to having a 10,000 square foot lot or a 15,000 square foot lot. So I know it's different. It's not for everybody, but it is. It makes the house and the home and the price a more affordable price, and it hits a market that at least my developer and my client is in the business of building. So we requested a minimum 5,000 square foot lot, but and technically we won't have anything less than 42 by 135. So it'll be a little north of right around 5,600 square feet. So, and not every product in there will be that, because we have a mix of 42 foot wide lots, and then we have the 52 foot wide lots. So we think, I'm okay with tabling it, and I'm okay with continuing to work with staff and council and over some of these concerns, but I can't speak for the owner as far as what he can and can't do. I would have to just go back and work with him, work with staff, and see if we can't work through some of these concerns.
I appreciate it. I think one of the things Mr. Stewart asked about timelines, so you're okay with temporary, the table?
And the last thing I would say, the other thing that I heard that I think, that section of the road, Williamston Road, is a 22 foot, if I'm correct. It's just 2 lanes, and they're approximately 11 to 12 feet per lane. The existing right-of-way is 66 feet. And we're allowing an additional 40 feet beyond the existing right-of-way. So even if you widen it to a 5-lane highway through there with 2 lanes and then a 2-way turn lane in the middle, you can almost fit that in the existing right-of-way that's there, and then we're giving another 40 foot. So we think the 40-foot buffer is adequate, even if you widen it to 6 lanes through there. So,
Questions? Don?
I just wanted to clarify, because I know you said you couldn't hear. We're only asking for 1,500 square feet additional. We don't want you to do 10,000 square foot lots or 15,000 square foot lots. We're just trying to, our minimum that we want to try to see is 6,500
square feet.
And if you have some lots that are bigger than that, then maybe you can pull some of that to still get to make the dividing number that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Well, we've got a lot of work to do. Please stay in touch with our folks, and I would entertain a motion to table this agenda item. First by Dr. Thompson. Second by the Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Locke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, sir. Got 4 items of new business, and the first item is request consideration of appointment to the Board of Commissioners of the Anderson Housing Authority. Mr. McEwen.
In your packet, you do have a letter attached to this. Every year, there's reappointments to the Housing Authority of Anderson by City Council. And the letter's from the Executive Director, Jeff Trahan. In December of 2020, Chase Christopher, his term expired. Mr. Christopher has expressed interest in continuing to serve on the board, and the term for this position is a 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2025. He has served 29 years and the longest serving member on the Housing Authority Board. And also, it's important to mention, in 2019, he actually received the Housing Authority Commissioner of the Year for South Carolina recognition. And at this point, staff recommends the reappointment of Mr. Christopher to the Board of Commissioners of the Anderson Housing Authority.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on that?
Mr. Mayor? You know, I know Chase personally, other people on council, he grew up here, and he's got a great demeanor, and I'm certainly sure he does a great job on this committee, and we appreciate his service, and so with that, I'd like to request that we reappoint Mr. Christopher.
First by Mr. Harvin,
Second.
second by Mr. Chapman. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. The next item is request consideration, next couple items are request consideration of a referral to the Planning Commission, a petition to rezone 1706 East Greenville Street from NC Neighborhood Commercial to GC General Commercial. Mr. McEwen.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, have you noticed we have a lot of development items now on our agendas, and you're really seeing a lot of momentum across the city of growth, things changing, and so this is it's good to see things moving forward as far as requests. We have some specifics behind this, and Mr. McKenzie will go through B2, B3, B4 for you.
B2 and B3, if you don't mind.
We'll leave B4.
Thank you. This property we're discussing is also known as the Hannah Market Shopping Center, and if you're aware of this development, it's at the corner of Greenville Street and Simpson Road, and it's been undergoing some renovations as of late. We have some new tenants in the development, so it's nice to see some new blood pumped into an aging shopping center. And so a lot of that's taking place now, and a portion of the property, though, which is part of the old Bilo grocery store, is still vacant. About 30,000 square feet, I believe, is still vacant. They did use a portion of that for a Dollar General store, Dollar Tree, but there is still about 30,000 square feet vacant. And they request to rezone the property to GC, General Commercial, from NC Neighborhood Commercial, in order to increase the permitted uses that can go into that vacant space specifically. And again, this is a request, and this is a referral, and if referred, it will go to the Planning Commission June 1st.
And this is not just rezoning at 30,000, but it's rezoning the whole parcel.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, the entire parcel.
I know we talked about Milo, but,
Right, I'm sorry. Yes, for the entire shopping center, Hannah Market.
And this is also where Chicken Salad Chick just came in as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chapman?
My primary question would be is what would be permitted, what are they looking to permit in general commercial versus neighborhood commercial?
I was prepared for this.
Okay.
Looking at the differences between neighborhood commercial and general commercial, and just let me read this out to you. These are main things I see where different uses you can allow, but a plant nursery or garden shop, auto sales, auto rentals, theaters, hotels, enclosed self-storage units, a kennel. And some of these are permitted outright, some are permitted with certain conditions. So that's really the difference that I see when you compare them, to really quickly.
So that being said, they could, it's a grocery store now, or was a grocery store formerly. And then, so I guess their intention is to do something either on the parking lot side for car sales or car rentals, or I guess nursery was the only thing I heard that was.
And the other one that sticks out too is storage.
Yeah.
And we give you a little more information on that too. Maurice, will you kind of go over what our regulations say on that?
As far as enclosed self-storage is concerned, yes. You sometimes see larger boxes converted into this climate-controlled enclosed self-storage facilities.
Like they did the Lowe's.
Yes, yes.
Old Lowe's.
The way our guidelines read, and we added this years ago for, actually, the company was a U-Haul business that never did come to town, but the way our guidelines read is that you can have an enclosed self-storage business, but the primary part of the building cannot be self-storage. And in talking with the city attorney, getting an interpretation, the self-storage has to be secondary in use to a primary use. So essentially, more than 50% needs to be the primary use.
Permitted.
And also, or retail sales or something like that has to be more than 51%, something else rather than the storage unit. But we do have that condition.
And I realize it's just it's just a referral for the planning commission, but it would obviously come back to us. I struggle with the fact that, it's kind of a primary corner that's has a lot of development around it, but I'm concerned that we may be taking something that has a good use now that is just needing that tenant and changing it up and then it being something completely different by just changing it to general commercial.
And we agree with you, and while we had to push this forward on the agenda as part of the process, we've had the same internal conversations, and we're trying to find out what the intent is as far as the repurposing of it between here and then, and when it comes back to you and through the planning commission process. Hopefully understand that better, so we can provide a clear recommendation to you when it comes back on the actually upzoning to general commercial from neighborhood commercial.
Well, with that, I would make a motion that we move it to the planning commission as a referral.
Have a motion by Mr. Chapman,
Second.
second by Mr. Jeff Roberts. Any further discussion?
Question.
Mr. Stewart?
Hey, Maurice, this would probably, I guess this would be considered a spot zone, because looking at it, because there's nothing else around there in general commercial, so this would be considered a spot zone.
Yeah, that's correct. We have some general commercial along Greenville Street, and they actually happen to be like the public shopping center and the Windsor Place Shopping Center, where Winn-Dixie used to be. Those two are actually zoned general commercial, but everything else, generally speaking, along Greenville Street is neighborhood commercial.
But, for general, just clarification, general commercial, you can't have U-Haul facilities as opposed to neighborhood commercial where you can't have those. Because
U-Haul facilities, yes.
Yeah.
You can have that in GC, general commercial.
We'll make sure.
Rental, that type of thing.
Okay.
One other small mention is that from your plan that you gave us, it looks like the back of the existing Bilo building kind of touches the back of the property.
Yes.
So how do you treat that with an existing condition if it gets changed? Because the screening requirements are different.
I'll have to check and see what the existing screening looks like, and then when their building is repurposed for something that's completely different, we will have to evaluate what the screening guidelines will be for that.
Okay.
In many instances, if it's retail-oriented, it won't change, but it depends on the use.
Okay, thank you.
Got a first and a second. Any other discussion? Come back to us with answers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes to the planning commission. The next item is request consideration of referral to the planning commission of petition to annex and zone to PDD, a planned development district of approximately 50 acres located at the corner of Midway Road and Crestview Road. Mr. McKenzie?
Thank you. Mayor mentioned this is the corner of Midway and Crestview. You see the attached map in your packet. You will see this property is about 50 acres, and it's contiguous to the property that we annexed back in January, that 131 acres of Midway Elementary. So that's how we're contiguous to this property, and the applicant is requesting to annex the property and zone it to PDD, Planned Development District, in order to build a maximum of 200 single-family houses on the property. Again, with it being PDD, we will have a document for you as we move through the process that will outline the specific development details of the project. It's still in the early going, and we're recommending that you refer it to the planning commission, and that will be June 1st.
Thank you, sir. I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
First by Mr. Newton,
Second.
second by Mr. Chapman. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Our last item is request consideration of a resolution to provide certification as provided by the South Carolina Abandoned Buildings Revitalization Act of 2013, which is the South Carolina Code 12-67-09 for the building at 201 South Murray Avenue. Ms. McEwen.
All right, since Mr. McKenzie does not want to cover this item, I'll refer to City Attorney Frankie McLean as he worked on this item for us tonight.
Address threw me off.
This is, what y'all done for a little bit different in that the developer is requesting that we certify this abandoned building in a, on the National Historic Register in order for them to get an income tax credit. And that's basically what this resolution does, is certify that how much, this how much is there.
What this building used to be, why, good question, why is it on historic?
Why is it on the historic?
Historic register, do you know?
I don't know, it used to be, it was a warehouse for Sullivan
Hardware?
hardware store.
So Sullivan Building on the National Historic Register?
I think it might be.
It has a
I think so. Yes. Yeah, I think it and the warehouse.
It does not have to be a historic building to be on the abandoned building tax credit.
No, it doesn't. And I don't know, this is a little bit different in that in the regular abandoned building tax credit is you have to apply for that and do the work before you get the credit. This, you can already have done the work before you apply. Just, that's the only thing, the only difference I know.
And these are state tax credits.
These are income tax credits they're applying
tax
for,
credits.
opposed to property tax credits. It doesn't really affect us financially.
Just assisting the process on this.
Yeah, we get a request, and we just have to go through, the request is for us to certify that, you know, it meets these standards according to the state law, and, that's what Frankie McLean looked at.
Yeah, part of the statute requires that we certify that it is an abandoned building as defined in the state, and it has been used.
Good. Any other questions?
I might be negative doing this. Can I make a motion to approve?
First by Mr. Harvey, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Discussion, Jeff?
We were just discussing, how many years abandoned does it need to qualify?
5.
5 years sitting vacant.
I think, and it's 60% of it has to be
Yeah, that's
vacant.
percentage.
At least 50% of it.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Building I left to go on
66 and 2/3.
Good question. So, did we vote?
That's where I left.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We just need to wait. Ms. New made first, Mr. Roberts second.
Memorial Day coming up Monday.
Got Memorial Day coming up Monday.
Hard to believe.
City offices are closed. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.